who are once again remembered. I have stood with you on many occasions, and yet each visit is as moving as the first.
I can't necessarily remember when that realization was there, because when you grow up in that family...
To say anything at all opens a window into a world of tradition, loyalty, and the weight of family legacy. So what message was Catherine meant to hear? Stay with us as we explore this dramatic tale surrounding the Duke of Kent and the private charge said to be passed down to the Princess of Wales. Prince Edward, the Duke of Kent, has spent his entire life upholding the monarchy. But in this story, as age and frailty take their toll, he finds himself unable to keep pace with the duties he once performed so steadily. Those closest to him, including his daughter, Lady Helen Taylor, see how difficult the struggle has become. In these final, quiet days, surrounded by loved ones, the Duke chooses to release a secret he has carried since the days of Queen Elizabeth II. It isn't an heirloom or a ceremonial token, but a personal directive meant for Catherine. A gesture symbolized by a rare pink diamond necklace and the trust the late Queen is imagined to have placed in her. What fascinates people about this narrative is the mixture of loyalty, unspoken responsibility, and the passing of hopes from one generation to the next. At the heart of it lies the bond between the Duke of Kent and Queen Elizabeth II. As first cousins, they were family by blood, but duty drew them even closer. Born in 1935, Prince Edward was never destined to be king, yet he became one of the crown's most dependable figures. After his military service, he stepped fully into royal responsibilities in 1976, standing in for the Queen at countless events and quietly becoming one of her most reliable representatives. Their relationship, as portrayed here, was built on shared purpose, dry humor, and an instinctive understanding of life lived under constant attention. By 2025, with retirement whispers growing louder and his health worsening, the Duke feels that time is growing short. One evening, in this dramatized retelling, he shares the Queen's long-kept directive, the one she entrusted to him because of his unwavering discretion. He reveals it gently, without any ceremony, while Catherine sits beside him, holding his hand. His confession moves her deeply, not for what it says about royal roles, but for the faith and expectation the Queen is imagined to have placed upon her. Catherine, often admired for her calm and poise, feels the weight and warmth of that hope. To understand why the Duke carried this imagined secret so faithfully, we revisit his life of service. As the son of Prince George, younger brother of King George VI, he grew up in the full formality of royal life. Yet instead of being overshadowed, he devoted himself to supporting the crown. His time in the military taught him steadiness and discipline. When he left the army, he embraced royal duty entirely, appearing year after year at Trooping the Colour and countless engagements, an enduring figure of commitment within the family. In this dramatic retelling, the Duke of Kent is shown as someone who stood beside Queen Elizabeth II with quiet dignity for decades. He wasn't simply a relative in the background. He was steady support, someone the Queen could rely on during long days, state occasions, and private moments. Their closeness, at least in this imagined version of events, deepened through years of shared duties and late-night conversations. It was during one of those discussions, when the Queen herself was facing health concerns, that she entrusted him with a private instruction meant only for Catherine. What she passed to him, according to the story, wasn't about diamonds, titles, or ceremonial attention. It was something far more powerful. Influence. A chance for Catherine to help steer the royal family's direction in the years ahead. The Queen had admired her from the beginning. When William married Catherine in 2011, the Queen welcomed her warmly, sensing she had the grace to respect tradition while still bringing a fresh, modern touch just as Elizabeth once did in her own early years. So what exactly did the Duke reveal in that emotional moment? Let's walk through it. At 89, his age was becoming difficult to hide. Even with his usual determination, his family noticed the slower steps, the heavier breaths, the moments when his strength wavered. One day, in a rare display of vulnerability, he asked Catherine to sit with him privately. For a man who had always been a model of composure, this was unusual, almost historic in its feel. He spoke softly about the late Queen, recalling her steadiness, her guidance, and her ability to provide comfort without ever raising her voice. Then he shifted to something more personal. He told Catherine about a sealed letter the Queen had entrusted to him before her death in 2022. The news of her passing had shaken the entire world. Queen Elizabeth II, the longest-serving monarch in Commonwealth history, gone at 96. The Duke's voice carried the weight of that moment as he described what was inside the letter. In this story, that letter contained a directive that granted Catherine unprecedented authority. Not symbolic influence, real authority. She would have the power to issue royal warrants, something no Princess of Wales had been granted in more than a century. Royal warrants, as imagined here, could boost businesses and drive economic change, potentially generating billions for the UK. The Queen, thinking ahead, believed Catherine would need these tools to help Prince William reshape the monarchy for a changing world. The letter also mentioned a pink diamond necklace heavy with history. As the Duke described it, his eyes softened. He explained that the stone represented strength and trust, a reminder of the Queen's faith in Catherine's ability to carry the family forward. Catherine received the information with quiet humility, touched by the meaning behind the gesture. There was more. The Queen's instructions included guidance on nurturing the emotional well-being of the family, a theme Princess and has publicly highlighted for years. This imagined directive blended authority with compassion, preparing Catherine for a role that felt almost queenly in scope. It encouraged her to continue championing causes she deeply cares about: mental health, families under pressure, and the environment, without being held back by traditional limits. According to this narrative, Catherine's expanded freedom would allow her to support her priorities without the usual layers of royal protocol. Observers in this fictional account note that the arrangement mirrors the Queen's own journey, from a young woman helping the nation rebuild after war to an experienced monarch navigating modern crises. Elizabeth had believed Catherine could carry that spirit of resilience into the next era. In the story, the Queen wanted her message kept hidden until the right moment, a private legacy meant to be opened only when needed. As the Duke read her words aloud, one line seemed to shine above all the others: family first, duty second, yet the two must always support each other. It was a principle that had shaped the Queen's entire reign, and she hoped it would guide Catherine as well. By 2025, in this fictional version of events, King Charles III openly supported Catherine's new authority to issue warrants, calling her role vital to the monarchy's future. Economists in the story predicted that her influence could bring more than £1 billion into the economy every year. But beyond finances, her newfound role would allow her to shape cultural trends, strengthen businesses, and keep the monarchy relatable to the public. There was still more inside the Queen's supposed letter. This secret command, as it's described, wasn't just about approving warrants. It represented a shift in how the royal household planned, worked, and made decisions. Insiders imagined within the palace believed the directive gave Catherine a central advisory role, one that placed her in the heart of major discussions. She would help decide which causes the royal family championed, update long-standing traditions around public events, and influence how the monarchy adapted to modern expectations. It was a dramatic departure from the old system, where only the monarch and a handful of direct heirs carried such influence. This fictional version of Catherine wasn't just a supportive spouse. She was being shaped into William's future partner in leadership. People close to King Charles in this imagined scenario considered it thoughtful planning. Catherine had already proven her strength, especially during her well-publicized health struggles in 2024. She had shown resilience, empathy, and composure, qualities the monarchy needed more than ever in a fast-changing world. What made this role unique was its flexibility. There were no rigid job descriptions, no centuries-old boundaries. Catherine could guide the royal family in whatever direction the moment required. The Queen's vision, as interpreted in this narrative, was simple: adapt or risk fading away. Earlier royal spouses had roles defined almost entirely by duty. They served, they supported, and they rarely stepped beyond the lines drawn for them. Catherine, however, had the chance to build something meaningful, from early childhood initiatives to mental health campaigns. Her genuine warmth and emotional intelligence helped her connect with people, much like the Queen had in her early reign. The pink diamond brooch, with its soft center stone surrounded by tiny white diamonds, looked like a flower frozen in bloom. Queen Elizabeth wore it often, not to impress, but because it carried a gentle elegance that suited her. She brought it out for state dinners, but she also pinned it on for personal moments like family weddings. It was beautiful without shouting for attention. In this dramatized tale, Whispers later suggested that the queen wished for part of the stone to be used in a simpler piece, something closer to her heart. Jewelers were said to have reshaped a portion of the diamond into a delicate necklace meant not for public glamour, but for quiet moments shared with her children and grandchildren. So what happened to that necklace? Did it truly find its way to Catherine? Let's move to the moment of its supposed presentation. When Catherine, Princess of Wales, learned of the Queen's secret directive in this fictional account, it meant far more than guidelines or protocol. Catherine has always carried herself with steady calm, even through difficult chapters of life. But here something in her shifted. As the Duke of Kent, frail yet dignified, explained the depth of the Queen's trust, Catherine's eyes glistened. This wasn't simply a treasured jewel or a formal document. It symbolized the Queen's belief in her ability to guide, support, and lead. It affirmed her place not only as William's partner, but as a vital voice in the family's future. Those who witnessed the scene described it as tender and unforgettable, a rare moment when Catherine allowed emotions to rise to the surface. She stayed by the Duke's side, holding his hand with quiet strength. With each word he shared, she felt the late Queen's presence more deeply. William stood beside them, filled with pride and respect. He understood that this recognition of Catherine's strength echoed his grandmother's wisdom. It wasn't merely a family moment. It tied generations together and hinted at the responsibilities awaiting him as he moved closer to kingship. The decree, and the necklace that represented it, sent ripples through the family. For William, it underscored Catherine's role as a guiding force for their children, George, Charlotte, and Louis. Observers in this fictional narrative noted the silent exchange between William and Catherine in that quiet room, a look filled with unity, purpose, and shared resolve. Even King Charles, still navigating health concerns from 2024, found comfort in the Queen's imagined instructions. He saw the decree as support for his vision of a streamlined, modern monarchy. Allowing Catherine to issue royal warrants, a responsibility rarely handed to a Princess of Wales, wasn't symbolic. It was a genuine shift in influence. With her signature, she could shape British business, tradition, and culture in meaningful ways. In this story, the decree touched every corner of the family. Princess Anne, long respected for her tireless dedication, was said to approve wholeheartedly. She remembered conversations with the Queen about adapting the monarchy for the future, and Catherine's growing role felt like a natural step forward. The Duke of Kent's family felt the weight of the moment as well. His daughter, Lady Helen Taylor, shared that fulfilling the Queen's final request brought her father immense peace, a last act of loyalty to the monarch he had served for a lifetime. Even younger royals such as Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, in this fictional retelling, understood how significant the decree was for their family's future. With the Queen's message now revealed and the necklace symbolically placed in Catherine's hands, the Princess of Wales stood at a pivotal crossroads for the monarchy. But what exactly did this decree mean for her? Let's break it down. The decree of continuity, explained. This imagined decree points toward a fresh chapter for the royal family, highlighting Catherine as a central figure in the years to come. Much like Queen Elizabeth II, Catherine will help guide younger royals as they grow into their roles. The necklace, with its rare pink diamonds, becomes a symbol of connection, linking the Queen's legacy to the family's future. Catherine's evolution, from a quiet newcomer to a confident, influential figure, has been remarkable. Many watchers now wonder when she'll debut the necklace publicly, marking a new stage in her partnership with Prince William. Her long-standing commitments align naturally with the Queen's vision: a mental health, a early childhood development, a environmental protection. Catherine's passion for these causes fits neatly into the modern monarchy Elizabeth hoped to shape. And with the ability to update royal warrants, she can spotlight ethical, responsible brands, something that keeps the monarchy relevant in today's values-driven world. The decree also reinforces Catherine as William's equal partner, not just in marriage but in leadership. King Charles views her as a calming, steady force, a presence capable of guiding the family through public pressures and private challenges. Her influence inspires their children, particularly Prince George, who watches his mother's example closely. Even Princess Anne sees in Catherine the beginning of a new chapter for royal women, one built on strength, purpose, and balance. And now the question turns to you. What are your thoughts on the Duke of Kent's dramatic announcement in this fictional royal tale? Share your thoughts in the comments below.